You are listening to the Hot Breath Podcast. I am your host, comedian Joel Byars, and welcome to your weekly guide to comedy mastery.
Thanks for doing this, man.
Absolutely.
Dude, we are all the way out here. Last time we did this was number 14 of my podcast.
Oh, was it number 14?
Episode 14. Oh. And now it's we're in the 140s. And what's perfect about this timing is last time I was out here, you were on billboards for a TV show.
Which one was that? Was that
Truth Be Told? And then now,
was that long ago?
And now you're on for the dog movie now, which is so crazy. It's like just watching your climb has been great, man.
Man, it's been a trip. It kind of I was just telling like I don't know a couple people, my mom, dad, a couple friends and stuff like because I was in Atlanta when we talked about doing this in the first place. I was shooting a new movie.
Yeah,
in Atlanta, Will Packer production, which is also Truth Be Told was. So I hopped in the movie with Regina Hall, Issa Rae, Mikey Day. I mean, just
no big deal.
Yeah, I'm excited. Dope, dope cast, and Marseille Martin from Blackish, who's a 13-year-old who executive produced the movie and starred in it. She's amazing, man.
Whoa, dude.
But yeah, so it was funny, like shooting that in Atlanta was great because I got a chance to be home and see some people and stuff, and then, but also like 2 days before the movie came out, even after the premiere, I kind of like didn't hit me, but I was like just stoned in my bed in my hotel room, and just I was like, oh shit, I'm in a movie. Like,
yeah, man.
Honestly, it didn't hit me.
Because
it just takes forever to come out. Like I mean, the turnaround isn't always that. So I mean, we started last October, and just I mean, it's kind of like, man, fuck. I'm like a lead in a movie, which is just I don't know, it's like mind blowing, man.
And one of the things you talked about in the first interview was just the power of no as well. But you're doing so many projects. So how do you decide what to do?
What's funny is like I didn't. I feel like I said, man, that's a great question. The power of no is. Because even after Disjointed was a show that on Netflix and it got canceled, and I mean I've been on enough now to know I felt it happening. I mean I felt it as we were shooting, and I didn't want it to happen because I love the cast and I love the crew and the staff and the studio and the network, and they were amazing. But it just felt like something was off, and I felt that feeling before, and it's like I'm gonna keep going and try to give it 100%. But when stuff just like when you don't feel the invigoration from them on one side of it, you kind of go, okay, maybe I need to start playing the field and looking for a job again, or I need to start writing again. But so when it got canceled, I was in New York. I was kind of living in New York from December to about March, end of March, and pilot season had started. But when you're locked up on a studio deal, you can't take another job. And I knew the job was going away because other members of my cast had started getting other work, and I'm like, all right, I need to be out.
Okay.
And then the studio was holding me back to like try to take one of their projects, and I was like, I just want to read a lot of stuff first before, which is crazy to be in that position because like,
hey studio, pump the brakes.
For like 6-7 years, I just wanted one script.
Right.
People are like, hey man, like if you want to offer me this, I don't care. I don't give a fuck what this is. I'll do it. I want to do a show, and it's champagne problems, man. It's a trip how you got to really like step back and go, this is such a blessing to be offered. I mean, I got 9 offers this year.
Wow.
I had 9 straight offers, like 2 dramas and 7 comedies, and I said no to 8.
What? How?
And it's such a great one I said yes to, which is the original one I really wanted to do because I love the story and I read it, but I wasn't old enough to play what they were going for. But it was written for somebody with my temperament, my drama and comedy skill set, and the dude who got it was like, I'm a fan of, and I was like, if I don't get this, please, he has to do this. So I mean when I read it, I was like, that makes sense. I mean, I'm just proud of him, and he's a good dude. I haven't hung out with him much, but he deserves it. He's a great actor.
And getting all these offers, like I mean, even just like
weird, man.
Even like on our level of like in our how well we know each other, you were willing even to Atlanta. We were like trying to schedule a time to meet up and do this while you're on set, and then now we're out in LA, and you're willing to carve out this time and just being so generous. Is that something you attribute to your success over the years?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm for the most part pretty reliable, pretty dependable. I mean, I feel like I've gotten to be more of a realistic truth teller. I mean, I got no problem saying I can't. I mean, I used to be, and not that I still don't do this, because I mean I do, but I used to be that guy that said yes to everything because I don't want to disappoint people, and sometimes you just can't. So I mean, that's also a no to get used to, because I think we all want to make sure that if you care about somebody or care about somebody's passion or dream, that you want to be able to assist if they need your help. But it was, I mean, I think, like, I mean, people looked out for me. I mean, I look at the guys who helped me, and then, I mean, there were guys I've known since I was 17 who were doing comedy, especially in Atlanta before I even thought about doing comedy, who I keep up with now.
Yeah.
And I mean, one is writing on this lot for a show, and it's
Sean Larkins.
Yeah. So Sean, I've known him since I was in high school. And it's really cool to, when I started out asking him for advice, and then now he'll call and go, yo man, like, what do you think about this? Can I? And it's because I have had some more of the business side, of learning how it works and like the pieces. And I'm really, I mean, even in there, you were just inside. I mean, like, I'll make suggestions, and like the director's like, yeah, let's see if that works. I mean, like, I have no problem, because Victor Gonzalez, who's directing this episode, I'll put him to the side and say, hey man, I want to shadow you at some point to learn how to direct, because I want to hop into this at some point. And so, we talk about shots and movements and blocking. And yesterday when we were doing it, I was like, I think if you don't mind, it make more sense for if we cross on this line, I go around here and then we come back. He goes, I mean, it might work, it might not. Who knows? Let's see. And then he goes, yeah, it works for me. And I get a chance to, put, my invisible directing hat on just for a second. But it's like, okay, at least I'm thinking in those terms. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's you don't want to be disliked in this business, and it's not an ass kissing thing. It's like, well, what if we just made each other's lives easier? Like that'd be easier than holding each other back or having that crabs in the barrel mentality. I mean, there's so much content out here now that, I mean, we can all work.
Yeah. And you've said Hollywood is like the world's smallest high school.
Man, let me tell you something. Fuck. I mean, the when I was in New York for those couple months, man, it was like I was living in cold LA.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's still the same thing. It's still the same thing. I mean, the LA and New York are closer in proximity than St. Louis and Chicago. It's like the miles might be more vast, but it's.
You sound like you made a mistake along the way.
No, it's just, I mean, you just don't know how. You can't imagine how quick. If you're living in Middle America and you have a 9 to 5, and the rumor mill or just people talking or whatever happens to you like that in an office in LA, it's in Hollywood, in a Hollywood bubble of what the entertainment city is. It just, you have none of your own business. And it's like, and I don't really promote a lot of my personal life. I mean, like, it's people who know me know what I'm doing and like, things around me, but I don't put like my personal life out there on social media much, because I do like my alone time, like it's I won't post for a week or two because I'm living, I won't, but people tell you, like you'll land in New York, and then I go to a club or like have dinner or something, then somebody's like, heard you and you're like, it just happened.
Wow. Yeah.
It just happened. Like, I just hung up, and then you asked me about it. How did you find out? It's crazy how people I mean, the chatter, man.
What kind of tips do you have for people, the best way to navigate that world?
I don't, man, because I don't know.
Oh, word. Okay.
I mean, and you see those people like, who, they move back to, you get something going, then you move out of town. I mean, I plan on it. I plan on leaving town when, I mean, we get a season 2 on this show, then I'm out.
Word.
Keep my apartment here and then move somewhere else, and just because it's a little draining, man. Always, and I wouldn't say having to be on, but there's a, and I'm not the dude who's always on. There's some comics, some actors who, you ever talk to an actor and I got a friend from home that she just, dude, anytime we talk, it's like she's in a scene.
She's like, can we try that again?
I'm like, fucking take 2. Fucking relax, put the script down. Can somebody yell cut? We're just having a conversation. And I mean, and I, she's good people. I've known her for over 10 years, but it's such a silly thing. And I do remember like being a young actor, like before I started comedy, like doing some stuff in Atlanta, and then all of us were always like working on our craft. But then to be 10, 12 years past that, And then now I know how to like, let me take a break. I got to turn it on in there in 15 minutes for a run through. Whereas like here's like, we're going to talk. But I mean, I talked to her last week and she came on set and she was just like, I am just, I'm so, you have no idea the passion and the pride and the happiness that I'm like, who are you talking to? Nobody is here but us.
Yeah.
We just have a conversation. And it's kind of sad, but at the same time, it's like, I know why you're doing it. It was like, but you don't have to prove that you got skills for me.
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, I always help you if I could.
Yeah, people can feel authenticity.
And people do it here all the time, but people become that character. You know?
Yeah.
And it's like, which is fine. If that's how you've been forever, then maybe that's who you are. So like, great. But you can, it's I guess the best example I have, like if you ever seen, which everybody should have at least seen one Eddie Murphy movie, and Eddie Murphy goes so hard in everything he does, regardless if it's a blockbuster hit or if it doesn't do well or if it's an indie, whatever it is. Eddie has a great pulse on when I'm working, and he's a naturally funny dude. But you ever watch him on a late night catch or do an interview, he's very chill.
Yeah,
it's like, I'm not making millions to make you laugh right now. I mean, if something funny comes out, then cool. But we came to talk about this. I didn't come to do a concert, and so I've had to like retrain myself to do that, because even my publicist said once, she was like, I'll get you on this thing and then he'll ask some questions, you be funny and all that kind of stuff. And I was like, I don't really work like that. If it happens to be cool and funny, then great, but I got to remember who I am and go, if it gets to that, because you remember those clips of like Robin Williams where like they would just go and just turn it on.
Oh, always.
And it's like, I mean, eventually, you get sick of going like, that's all people want from me. And that was a great documentary too, where like he felt like unless he was alone, he couldn't turn it off, because like that's what people like being around him. It's like a lot of people really didn't know who he was.
With all the heat you have right now and more people figuring out who you are, like, have you had to switch up your game, or are you looking? You had mentioned wanting to retire by the time you were 41.
Yeah.
Before, and you mentioned talking to your director and being like, I want to look into that more. Yeah. Is that like you're starting to look at the next tier?
Like, when I say like retire, I mean like the grind of acting. But if you turn into a director and had like a dope like film that you wrote and you were like, Tone, I think you'd be great for this part, I'm in.
Yeah.
But the waiting with 30 other dudes in audition rooms and it's soul draining. And
I
like,
don't know that hustle, dude.
And they're you get casting directors that are amazing. You get some that are shitty. They're like, they treat you like treat you like a fucking, like you're nothing. And then you see them out and they go like, hey, how you doing? You're like, no, me treat me like ass back there. But then if you do get the part, then they go, thank you so much for joining. It's like, couldn't you be a little more cordial like, there's a way to do this. And so it's hard to have friends here, because like, I mean, people that you didn't start with, or those, like you're cool as long as you're working. As soon as you don't have a job for 2 or 3 years, nobody gives a fuck about you. It's like, you know what I mean? But that's just that I mean, you know what I mean? Like that's, it's like being in college, and then that, the four guys you hang out with, one drops out and you want to still be cool with them. But like we don't have the same stories anymore. It's like, and you want them to get back in college. So like, because you don't want to leave them behind. But it's like, you chose a different path, and we'll catch up when we catch up. But like, the reason why we're friends in the first place is because we had this commonality, and now we don't. So, where do we go from here?
Yeah, and it looks like you're looking to even get behind the camera now, is where you're headed.
I'd like to. Just working on more stuff and the multicam thing, and just diving into that. There's a guy by the name of Richie Keene who directed my special.
Your show. Congrats, man.
Yeah.
Congrats on filming that.
Who like was a comic, an actor, and then now a director. And we ready? Okay.
Cool.
We can pick it back up afterwards if you want to.
Oh, yeah. You want to do that?
Yeah.
Oh, cool.
We're 15, 20 minutes afterwards.
Yeah, let's do it.
All
right. Take 2. Back at it. Oh, and I meant before, we have hot breath water now, too.
Hot breath water.
It's our local water sponsor, Fontis.
Man, that's so, you want water, called Hot Breath.
On the way up.
Let it go. Monday, 6 a.m.
Ooh, the grind.
6 a.m., baby. Sunday night's going to be light.
I've seen I've seen like TV shows taped, but to actually see the behind the scenes like I have today is really cool to see it all the way from the rehearsal to then, what'd you just do, the producer?
Producer run through.
So is that all the writers and
producers? Some folks from the network and studio come and they have their notes, and then so that's like a third of the people that might be there on Monday and Tuesday.
Okay.
And then we'll shoot a little bit on Tuesday and then shoot the rest live on Wednesday.
And it seemed, even just watching the rehearsal and then seeing it with the producer run through, it seemed like everybody was on their lines more in terms of like knowing them, and like,
you just don't. The hard part is like you can set it as much as you want, but having the script in your hand, because you don't know, because it changes all the time. They go do a rewrite, give it back to you, do a rewrite, give it back to you. And so you think you know exactly where a laugh is going to be or how someone's going to perform, but then if a joke drops or lands harder than you expect, then it throws off the next piece, and somebody can jump your line. You can't go back because they're timing it. So like so it definitely is not. It's like it's mostly for the writers to go, all right, we need to tighten this up or take that out or whatever, and then the actors to go, because it's not really on us yet. Tuesday is when they go, okay, it's done.
Gotcha.
Go to work. And so yeah, I mean, like that to me, that wasn't a good one for me, but also, I mean, that's in my opinion. I mean, I'm sure it's fine, but I just hold myself to a higher standard, but also I'm trying to make jokes that aren't written as jokes and stuff that is only set up. I mean, super Hollywood talk right now.
No, but as a comedian, you want the laugh.
Yeah, I mean, so, you have to know when and sometimes the laugh is the reaction.
True.
So it's like set up punch, and then there's another punch after, facial expression or whatever. So just trying to get those beats down and letting them know. I mean, I do have I'm in a position sometimes where they give me stuff that's unmolded, where they give everybody else stuff that's like complete, and they go, he'll figure it out. I'm like, yeah. I know y'all think I'm gonna figure this out, but let me see it first so I can change this and give it to everyone how I think I would do it, so I can change the words up because I know the direction. Let me do this how I know it would work, which is what I'll do Tuesday and Wednesday no matter what, because once it's live, it doesn't matter. I mean, I'm on my own terms. So when the audience is there, if I want to try something and do it on my own, that's just what's going to happen. Yeah. So like it's taking ownership, and like the surprise for them too is also like pretty funny.
What's your technique for analyzing a script when you get it, and then also memorizing the lines?
Just repetition on the memorizing. I mean, you never know what the audience is going to find really funny. If you're supposed to put a glass down and it tips over, water goes everywhere, you can still save the scene, but unless you just cut yourself or whatever. I've always found that because, I mean, I guess I would say I was an actor before, when I was in Atlanta still, before I moved to Dallas. I mean, I was doing some smaller, some smaller indie stuff and just stuff around town, projects around town. But now my process is to watch all the actors work first. Like Nina's done this before. She hasn't done a sitcom, but she likes to break down the script her own way. Brian Stokes Mitchell, Brian Mitchell Stokes. Why do I keep doing that? Mitchell, right? Stokes, right? I keep flipping flopping.
I believe you're asking your assistant why you can't get someone's name right. Why are you getting his name right?
Why can't I do that? You got to put that on the list. On that to-do list. And then Shirley, I mean, they're they've been in the game for 40 years and they know exactly what they're doing. And so I like to let them set what they do first, and then I can figure out my joke around that. And if it's just a setup or if it's a straight line from a straight man, then it's not the everybody can't be the straight man, everybody can't be the comic. You ruin stuff, everybody trying to outdo each other.
Yeah.
So you have to know if you're set up, you're set up. So I just I'll throw you the alley and so you can bring it home. I let them do that first, and then I implement like where I think might be funny or what I want to do.
Okay.
And sometimes I don't tell them what I'm going to do. It depends on what director that is too. Some directors, I mean, I've had directors go, "Are you saving it?" I'm like, "Yeah, I don't want to do it right now." And they're like, all right, I trust you.
Interesting.
And then some people go like, "Will you tell me what you're about to do?" And I mean, when I did the movie Little for Will Packer last week, I mean, literally there were a couple scenes where the director goes like, "You weren't saying anything in the scene, but you got any ideas?" And I'm like, "What?"
Interesting. Yeah.
I'm like, "Yeah, I got some." They're like, "Oh yeah, throw that in there. It's fine." And I end up pulling out 5-6 lines in a scene that I was supposed to just be walking past and in and out of. It ends up being funny. It's nice to be in that position because 6 years ago I couldn't do that. 7 years ago I wasn't even. I want to in front of anybody's camera. So now getting a chance to help out and be a part of the process is great.
That's what I was going to ask, is like, now that you seem to have a little bit more leverage in the game and people maybe trust your opinion, is maybe when you're newer, they're like, just say the line, relax.
Yeah.
Just relax.
When nobody knows your career or like what you've been doing, it's like, I'm a comic and I have a delivery, but people go like, no, you're an actor. You're like, okay. But then directors who, when they feel like they have to do their research and respect you a little more as a performer, they go, oh, okay. So they watch clips online, and my manager will send them a piece of my special or something, and then they'll go, okay, so this is how I change words because I know I say certain words funny enough that it means the same thing, but I just have my own style. Everybody has their own style of how they would do stuff. It's like giving Bill Bellamy and Chris. It's like I don't know if we talked about this last time, but I heard a podcast with Bill Bellamy where he was attached to play. What's the character's name? He was supposed to be in Money Talks. Bill Bellamy was supposed to play Money Talks with Charlie Sheen, and Brett Ratner was directing How to Be a Player. And the studio put Brett Ratner on Money Talks, so he took Chris Tucker, who was supposed to be in How to Be a Player, to Money Talks, and then they'd switch Bill Bellamy over to How to Be a Player. But both dudes are hilarious.
Crazy, yeah.
They're both hilarious. So imagine what Money Talks would have been if it were with Bill Bellamy. We could all say, like, oh no, we love Chris Tucker, but you don't know what it was going to be.
Right.
So everybody has their own, and they respect both comics.
You have so much insight. In the last interview, you were talking about how the show Modern Family started out being about a foreign exchange student, and then he tested bad. You told us all about the rating system in TV.
Yeah. And
you also said something about how you got one time like $160,000 check that ended up being like 19 grand at the
I love that story. I hate that story, but I love that story. Like, you talk about, like, if you ever watch like 30 for 30 Broke, all the NFL players, and you think you have money, and I mean, what you think you make, it doesn't matter what that check says, you're getting a fifth of it. It's crazy. It's crazy. I mean, so like, when people see check stubs laying around the house, or like anytime you see like multiple zeros, you're like, fuck, man, you made it. You're like, that's not the right amount. Between, you're giving up 65% every time you get paid.
It's looking like right now in your career, and thinking about Nina is starring in this show we're taping right now, and then also in the movie you were in. Yeah. It seems like Tone-Bell has the machine behind him right now. It seems like something's brewing.
Let's see. Let's see. I'm excited for this new. I have another film at the Toronto International Film Festival, and it's supposed to be. I haven't seen that one either, but it's supposed to be good. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens. But yeah, stuff is. I feel like things keep going this well. Then I'll be in that up next. In that category of that list of guys or people that might have a shot to be memorable and have a good career here.
Yeah, it was that in like Hollywood strategy. Is it like, okay, they're starring in a movie together, we should put them in a TV show together? Like, is that how it plays?
I got cast last in Dog Days, and by the time Nina and I met and started working together, like, we just kind of, because all of our scenes were, at least the first few were in order. So we actually were meeting for the first time in the movie and in life. And so it kind of was very organic. And then when it came to the show, I tested with probably 3 or 4 other actresses, and which were all great. They really were great, and they were very funny. Some didn't match up in age. Some didn't have multicam experience. Some were trying to win every scene. Sometimes it's not your scene to win. As far as like, who needs a scene for the storyline to continue or to resolve in this manner, so we can wrap it back around for the resolution of the show. So some people don't have that, and unfortunately they didn't for that test, and we never worked together or gotten used to each other. So, and I'd already accepted the job and signed on, and then as they were looking for someone, they go like, well, they worked together on the movie. And so we didn't have to audition or test or anything together. They just sent scenes from the movie over. And we're like, yeah, man, they work. If she says, yeah, then do you want to work with her? And then she calls me, and then I was like, I'd love working with you. So if you're down, I'm down.
Yeah.
And she was like, I just don't want to be stuck on a show with people that, and I'm like, well, you got to make that decision. But I think this is, I won't let you fail. And I won't, I'm pretty easy to work with. And you ask me a question, I'd rather be happy for 6 years, 6 to 8 seasons than miserable. So I want to come to work, And the more seasons that go on, I'm trying to get that Big Bang money if it happens. You know what I mean?
Like you want to get the syndication.
I mean, that $1 million an episode, that ain't bad.
That's where they're at.
Oh yeah, well at least 3 or 4 of them.
Whoa.
I mean, I think the least someone makes on that show is like 335,000.
Is that $1 million and then the 65 is gone though? That's still that 65%, right?
Yeah. So every episode, I mean, which ain't bad money.
That's still legit.
Which $300,000 an episode that you get to pocket is not. I can't.
But the public hears, oh, he's getting $1 million an episode.
Yeah, I mean, it's like back in the '90s when people were getting $20 million a movie. $20 million a movie sounds unbelievable, and it is unbelievable.
Yeah.
But you only bring home 6, 8 if you're lucky. If you know some Trump skills on how to get past these loopholes, maybe bring home 10. Who knows? But I can't see nobody gets a check for 20 and keeps 20. Maybe Bill Murray, because they just call him.
Oh yeah,
but I don't think Bill is getting 20 at these days. But like he probably keeps all his money
because he's earned that keep though. I guess.
Well, he just is like, you want me to do this part? Leave a voicemail on my answer machine, and he'll check it and do the project. But I think he probably just gets checks straight written to him.
Oh, that's what he does now. He just has a voicemail people book him on.
Oh, that's what he's been doing since the '80s, from what I hear.
So you did reference.
I'm talking like I'm friends with Bill Murray. I'm not.
Yeah, you are talking about like industry insight, man. So we'll land this plane here. But you mentioned just and referred to. Are those drugs?
No, this is just B12.
It's B12. Out here in this LA life.
Yeah.
So
B12, baby, B12.
So you referred to a second ago. You feel like you're almost at a point now where you're getting poised to make an impact in this and be one of those like influencers, like you said. You didn't use that word, but in making that impact, what do you see that impact being?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, like I like TV. I mean, I haven't done that many films to know if I really like, because I mean, being on a film set is very hairpin weight.
Yeah.
And if you're not the focal point of it, you're very much hairpin weight. But I mean, it's still a lot of fun though, because most of the time, especially if you have cool co-stars, you get a chance to learn about each other, especially if it's people that you admire and that you've been wanting to work with or dreamt about working with. And I think those are the best things, because outside of that, you're Tom Cruise, and if he happens to be cool, and then we have lunch together, and he goes, man, that dude, yeah, all right. So then his next movie goes, remember that kid that had a small part in that thing? Like, we should see if he, and that always goes. I mean, that's in anything though. I mean, that's just cordiality amongst people. So
yeah,
to have a reputation, I don't think is what I'm trying to say, but to have a reputation and just people want to work with you, and I think you want to leave the game not the perception of like a low hand from years ago, but like I'm sure that she just lost a grasp of. I mean, I don't know her, so I can't really talk for what she went through. But I mean, she was super, like Lindsay Lohan or something.
Oh, Lindsay Lohan.
She was like super young, and the whole world is at your fingertips, and then when you feel like everything's going your way, and then stuff kind of stops going your way, who do you transition to? Who do you want to? I mean, dude, that's why I still drive a Prius.
Oh yeah,
that shit keeps me very humble. I mean, I don't want to start living that. People always like, man, you don't want to pull up on the lot like a boss, and I'm like, no, I want the boss to think I need a job.
Boom. Yeah.
Hey man, this Tone's still driving that Prius, man. We got to get him some more money. Yeah, man.
And you mentioned earlier in the interview about talking to the director and like wanting to get in that more.
Mm-hmm.
Are you thinking that's the impact you want to make as well?
I mean, it's when that spark comes, it's like I do want. Yeah, like I said, turned out 2 dramas. I've turned down multiple dramas of like the last few years, and one was in Hawaii, one was in Toronto. There was one that I was going to shoot in South Africa that I didn't turn down, but it was pulled from me by a studio, but not maliciously. It was just like they had another idea, and so I kind of didn't know what was going on, but it ended up working out anyway. You just want to. I want to have fun, man. I mean, there's Kevin Hart said something like a while ago on one of his interviews where people keep asking him to, like, why don't you do something dramatic? And he's like, I'm just getting a chance to star in comedies. You got to chase the art later. I'm gonna chase this comedy, and then the art will find you. So, and I'm sure he got that advice from somebody else. And I mean, and I was kind of doing that without ever hearing that. People are like, you want to do this drama? I'm like, yeah, I know if I got on NCIS, Kansas City, that it probably lasts for 10 seasons. and I make some great money, but it's like, is that the career that I want?
Yeah, you've always.
I mean, nobody goes to the comedy club to go see the dude from CSI. You know what I mean? Like, I still want to do stand up. So my thing is like, I want to conquer comedy first before I get into the. I mean, I think Dennis Leary did a good job with that. Jamie Foxx, I think, did a great job with that. Like, let me do this first, and then he went back to music and drama, but he was like, let me get this comedy thing off now. And then when you respect me for that, something will come up where you let me. I mean, even Disjointed was a great vehicle for me because people found out I wasn't just silly, I could do drama.
Yeah.
So I've been getting a little more drama looks now. So hopefully one of these next projects is a little more physical because I'd love to play a undercover cop or like something military or whatever. But I got to do what I need to do now to go, man, I got an anthology of work. I mean, because right now I probably have done like over 70 or 80 episodes of television in 7 years. Mostly playing a regular or some sort of arc on something, never like a co-star or a guest star, which is great. But nothing has been like I'm carrying a character for multiple years, which I'd like to try to get into.
Yeah.
So that's me. Is. I mean, I got other dreams too, but and not that I'm not writing on the side, but right now it's like so I can have that respect level of, when Aaron Kaplan, who Capital Entertainment produces the show. In the studio with CBS on the show, I mean, he's in a position to go, okay, I see you've been grinding out the last 2-3 years. You got anything? And then I can sit with him as talent and probably a producer and go, I want to produce this with you. And then he has more of a reason to take me seriously on something other than being talent.
The vision, man.
So it's,
You've got the vision. Is even when we interviewed each other, when I interviewed you a few years ago, and you were like, at one time I had an opportunity to sit on the panel of Fallon. And you're like, I turned it down because that's not how I wanted that first time to be.
Yeah.
Like this organic, seems like your career has been very organic, and that seems to almost be an X factor.
Yeah, I mean, some stuff you don't want to do, but it's like, is this a means to an end? Like I kind of turned this show down. I hosted this award show a few months ago, 2,000 or 3,000 people in New York. And I got the offer to do it 3 years prior. And it was here in LA, and they offered me, I think, like $6,000 to do it. And it was down the street, and it was like, man, $6,000, 2 hours of work. Okay. But then I kind of wasn't feeling. I was like, man, why I'm gonna wait? Then they asked me the next year, they offered me like $6,500, and I was like, $500? I was like, we're only going up $500? I was like, I've done more. I've done more. I should get more. And then the next year they offered me $7,000, which was this year. And then I was like, I've done 2 movies since, 3 really. One went straight to like Showtime on demand, and I was like, nah, I think I'm good, man. I want to go out and wait in New York for like $7,000, which is crazy to think. It's like I'm not. You go like, no, like I feel like they should give me some more. Then they came back with 25, and I was like, yeah, lock that up. I'll take, yeah, let's do that. That's here we go. And then. But I think they took me a little more seriously, and they already have kind of were like, hey, we got something coming up in Amsterdam. We have one in Rome, so we'll check your schedule, see if you're free. But also, I think I was better suited for it. I mean, I've hosted a couple more things since then, and so I was a better talent to know what they wanted more than I would have been 2 years ago when they asked me the first time.
Yeah, and that perceived value goes a long way too. Yeah. So let's get out of here because I know your time is very valuable, but
no,
it's not very valuable.
It's at least worth 25.
I was about to say. Before we get out of here, is there anything else you want the world to know?
I still drive a Prius. And I still rock Casio watches. I don't want people asking me for money.
Hey, don't ask Tone-bell for money.
Don't ask me for money.
Well, thanks for doing this.
Yeah,
man.
appreciate you,
dude.
Absolutely.
Always.
Man. Absolutely.
My man, keep up the good work. Give him one of those right there.
Watch Fam on CBS and go watch Dog Days, and look out for The Weekend. It's a movie I did. Look out for It's a Party. And some other, comedy knockout and all the small stuff I got going outside of that. But yeah. All right.
Social media, website?
Oh, my special coming out in October.
Showtime, right?
And my Showtime special is, can I tell you what it's called?
What's up?
Can't cancel this.
Hey. You should get that tattooed.
I'm telling you, man.
Get that a shirt. Oh, that's perfect.
I'm telling you.
You know the life.
Fucking 7 canceled shows, man. I got to make fun of myself.
But the stock is rising, my man.
Absolutely, man.
All right, well, enjoy your happy birthday, by the way.
Yeah. Thank you.
I did not say that at the beginning of this. But...
Hey, man, birthday is just another day. You got to keep working.
Keep working.
Yeah, man.
All right, well, go have fun tonight, man. I appreciate you.
Absolutely. Thanks, Joe.
Tone Bell. Hot breath.